Imagine this. A king, so utterly consumed by betrayal, so broken by the infidelity of his own wife, that he decrees every woman in his kingdom will die. Every single night, he takes a new bride, only to have her executed the very next morning. Can you even fathom that level of despair and cruelty?
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? A kingdom gripped by such fear, families hiding their daughters, the entire social fabric tearing apart, all because of one man's shattered trust. It's like something out of a nightmare, but it's the grim reality that sets the stage for one of the most incredible tales ever told.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we're here on Forgotten Tales. I'm Echo, and with me is Ashley.
Hey everyone! And on Forgotten Tales, we journey through the rich tapestry of ancient stories, from the Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen to the vibrant narratives of 1001 Nights, and so many more. These aren't just children's fables, they're profound insights into the human condition, packed with lessons, wonders, and sometimes a shocking twist.
Today, we're diving deep into the heart of 1001 Nights, to the legendary figure of Scheherazade. Before we get into her incredible story, it's worth noting that this isn't just a tale of a clever woman. It's a profound psychological argument about empathy as the only true cure for systemic violence. It's about how one voice, through the power of narrative, can heal a broken world.
And it truly is. The legend of Scheherazade frames the entire collection of the Arabian Nights, providing the reason why these stories were told. Without her, there wouldn't be a 1001 Nights as we know it. It's a meta-narrative, a story about storytelling itself, and its incredible power.
Exactly. So, let's set the scene. In the old chronicles, it is written that a great king had two sons, the elder, Shahryar, and the younger, Shah Zaman. They grew up identical in intelligence, fairness, and character. However, Shahryar possessed an innate, effortless mastery of horses that mattered deeply for a ruler destined to lead armies. Upon their father's death, the succession was clear. Shahryar inherited the great, historic empire, while Shah Zaman was given the wealthy, beautiful trade city of Samarkand. Shah Zaman accepted his lesser portion with dignity, and the brothers parted.
So even though they were equals in character, their paths diverged, setting the stage for their individual experiences and eventually, their shared trauma. It's interesting how destiny weaves itself into these royal lines.
Indeed, 20 years passed, making the distance between them ordinary. Shahryar built a highly successful kingdom with strong borders, a full treasury, and a brilliant court. Yet waking one night in the dark, he suddenly felt his brother's absence. The next morning, he penned a plain, affectionate letter and sent his vizier to Samarkand to invite Shah Zaman for a visit. Shah Zaman received the invitation with real pleasure. Chilni arranged his kingdom's governance, loaded camels with gifts, and set out. The palace corridors were quiet. No one expected him back. Shah Zaman, a powerful king in his own right, hadn't planned to return, but he had forgotten a small gift, a thoughtful token. Slipping back through the inner gate, he found his wife in their room, in the embrace of another man. Without rage or ceremony, in a cold, almost detached disbelief, he drew his sword and killed them both.
Ah, the cruel irony. That small, forgotten gift leading to such a monumental discovery. It's almost as if fate intervened to expose the truth, no matter how painful.
Precisely. He carried this silent, hollow space alone as he rode to catch up with his retinue, completely unaware that his broken trust would soon become a death sentence for an entire kingdom.
Can you imagine? That silent, hollow moment? It wasn't about vengeance in that instant, but a complete obliteration of his world. He lost faith in everything, feeling the very floor of his life give way. It's a foundational trauma that explains so much of what follows.
When Shah Zaman arrived at his brother's court, Shahryar welcomed him with open arms and genuine gladness. For a moment, the knot in Shah Zaman's chest eased, but it did not last. His dark knowledge followed him into every room, sitting beside him at every meal. He stopped eating, grew pale, and looked increasingly hollow-eyed. Shahryar noticed his brother's decline and arranged a hunting expedition, believing clean air and a good horse would restore him. But on the morning of departure, Shah Zaman was too heavy with depression to join, choosing instead to stay behind and rest in the palace.
And this is where things get even more complicated.
At midday, Shah Zaman went to rest in his brother's private apartments, which overlooked a walled garden accessible only through a single inner door. As he lay on a couch, the sounds outside changed. Looking down through the window, he watched the queen enter the garden accompanied by 20 slave girls. In the center of the courtyard, they removed their outer robes, revealing that 10 of the girls were actually men disguised in veils. The queen called out, "Saeed!" and a powerfully built man dropped from a tall tree. The entire group paired off, stripped completely, and engaged in hours of revelry before dressing and slipping away.
Wow, talk about a shocking discovery.
Exactly. Shah Zaman stood at the window long after the garden emptied. A strange shift occurred within him. Not happiness, but a profound sense of relief. He realized that the betrayal he suffered in Samarkand was not a specific judgment on him, nor something he had caused. It was simply the corrupt condition of the world. His appetite suddenly returned, and when Shahryar returned from the hunt, he found his brother looking remarkably restored.
But what's fascinating here isn't just the betrayal, it's Shah Zaman's reaction. He doesn't get angry, he finds relief. It's a huge turning point for him. It's not about him, it's a universal flaw, a human condition. Misery loves company, but in this case, it's shared misery that brings a twisted sort of comfort. He's not alone in his suffering.
Indeed, that evening, as they ate together with their old rhythm, Shahryar pressed his brother for the truth behind his sudden sickness and recovery. Shah Zaman relented, warning that the truth would be hard to hear. He confessed everything about his own wife's execution in Samarkand, and then detailed the shocking afternoon display of the queen and her 20 companions in the walled garden. Shahryar listened in stunned silence, unable to make the information fit without shattering his reality. "I saw it with my own eyes," Shah Zaman insisted. "Then I need to see it with mine," Shahryar replied.
And that's the moment Shahryar's world begins to crumble. The trusted queen, the image of his stable kingdom, all of it. It's a common theme in literature, isn't it? The powerful ruler who is utterly blind to the betrayals happening right under their nose.
They devised a plan. Announcing a second hunting expedition, they rode out in full view of the city. Once far enough away, they abandoned their retinue, doubled back in plain clothes through a servant's passage, and hid in the apartments. The trap worked perfectly. The door opened, the queen and her retinue entered, the robes came off, and Saeed dropped from the tree. Shahryar watched it all until the garden was quiet again. When he turned from the window, his face was completely empty from within.
Empty. What a powerful description. Not angry, not sad, just empty. It's like his soul just left his body in that moment.
"Let us leave the kingdom altogether," Shah Zaman suggested. "Let us go out into the world and wander until we find a man who has suffered as we have suffered, or worse. If we cannot find such a man, then our case is the worst there is, and there is no remedy for it." So they stripped off their royal identities, slipped through the wall, and walked for days until they reached the sea. Seeking security, they climbed into the branches of a broad, old tree stretching over the water.
They're seeking validation, aren't they? A way to contextualize their immense pain. It's a very human reaction, to want to know if anyone else has experienced something worse, to put your own suffering into perspective.
At twilight, a terrifying roar shook the shore as a massive column of black smoke rose from the water, resolving into an ancient, powerful jinni. On his head, the creature carried a glass chest sealed with 7 steel locks. The jinni set the chest down directly beneath their tree, unlocked the steel constraints, and lifted out a woman of breathtaking beauty. The jinni laid his great head in her lap and commanded, "Let me sleep." Once the creature's breathing deepened into heavy slumber, the woman looked up and locked eyes with the terrified kings hiding in the branches. She gestured firmly for them to come down, signaling that if they refused, she would wake her monstrous master.
Oh, this is a classic twist. The tables are turned completely. They thought they were safe, hidden, and now they're at the mercy of a jinni's wife, who is even more cunning than the monstrous jinni himself.
Terrified, the kings descended to the sand. With complete composure, she demanded that both men sleep with her, using the threat of the sleeping jinni to enforce her terms. They complied. Afterward, she demanded their rings. She pulled a silk bag from her robes, pouring a glinting handful of gold and silver into her palm. He thought a lock could hold what a lock cannot hold, she told the astonished brothers. "Know this, whatever walls a man builds, whatever locks he fastens, a woman who wishes to do a thing will find her way to doing it. There is no cage that holds against a determined will." With a cold command, she told them to be gone.
Talk about a mic drop moment. This woman, held captive by a terrifying jinni, has found a way to assert her own will, even in chains. It's a stark, almost cynical declaration about the futility of control when confronted with a determined spirit. For Shahryar and Shah Zaman, This must have been utterly devastating, but also, surprisingly, a form of enlightenment.
Absolutely.
As the brothers walked away in the dark,
Shah Zaman noted that if an all-powerful genie couldn't secure his wife, no man could. Shahryar agreed, realizing their suffering wasn't a personal curse, but the universal state of things. Knowing this, "What do you intend?" Shah Zaman asked. Shahryar walked in silence before replying, "I am going back to my kingdom."
and there it is. That chilling realization that sets his terrible plan in motion. He's not healed, he's just rationalized his pain in the worst possible way. He's decided that all women are inherently unfaithful, and his solution is horrifying.
Shahryar returned to his city changed at the very level of his soul. He immediately summoned his vizier and ordered his wife's execution. The queen was dead by morning, but the hollow vacuum inside Shahryar's broken mind began to fester into a dangerous systemic delusion. He concluded that his betrayal wasn't the fault of one woman, but proof of the inherent unfaithfulness of all women. He issued a monstrous decree. Every night he would marry a virgin, take her for one night, and have her executed the next morning. The loyal vizier, moving like cold water through the corridors, bowed and carried out the orders. He had 2 daughters of his own, Dunyazad and Scheherazade, and stood helplessly between them and the monster the king had become.
This is where the story gets incredibly dark. And the weight of the vizier's position is just heartbreaking. He's caught between obeying a mad king and protecting his people, and ultimately, his own daughters. It's an impossible situation.
3 terrible years passed. The city changed slowly, like a tree losing its leaves, as panicked families hid their daughters, dressed them in rags, or smuggled them away in pre-dawn wagons to distant provinces. Every evening, the vizier brought a new bride. Every morning, she was executed. Eventually, a day came when the vizier searched every district and found no daughters left. Neighbors turned him away at bolted doors, asserting their girls were gone or married. Facing the absolute certainty of his own execution should he return to the king empty-handed, the vizier walked home in cold dread. The entire kingdom is dying, literally and figuratively, under this tyranny. And then, we meet our hero, Scheherazade. It's a moment of utter despair that gives rise to incredible courage. He found his eldest daughter, Scheherazade, reading in the library. She immediately recognized the heavy, despairing cadence of his footsteps. Seeing his terrified face, she asked what was wrong, and he confessed that the city was drained of eligible women and his road had run out. Scheherazade looked at him steadily and said, "Father, I want you to present me as his bride for tomorrow night."
Talk about a moment of pure shock and terror for a parent. His daughter volunteering for certain death. But it shows Scheherazade's incredible bravery and perhaps her unique understanding of the king's madness.
The vizier paced in horror, pointing out that every girl who entered those gates died. "You are asking me to walk you to your death with my own hands," he wept. In a desperate attempt to dissuade her, he told her the fable of the bull and the ass, wherein an ass tries to be clever by advising a hard-working bull to fake illness to get a day off. The plan backfires when the farmer simply works the ass in the bull's place, leaving the ass broken and exhausted. The vizier warned her that her cleverness would only bring about her own ruin.
That's a clever cautionary tale within a tale. But Scheherazade isn't deterred by simple fables of worldly cleverness. She has a much deeper plan in mind, something beyond mere trickery.
Scheherazade thanked him for the story but remained completely unmoved. She stated that she had spent weeks thinking this through and would go to the gates alone if he refused to help her. "I have a plan," she explained, "and I believe it will work." "You intend to talk your way out of this," her father whispered. "I intend to talk him back into being a person," she answered. Seeing the absolute settled gravity of her decision, the vizier finally agreed to make the arrangements.
That line, "I intend to talk him back into being a person," it's so powerful. It speaks to the core of empathy, of seeing the humanity beneath the monstrous actions. She's not just trying to save herself, she's trying to save him from himself.
Scheherazade dressed with solemn dignity, embracing her sister Dunyazad and whispering, "When the deep hours come, wake me. Ask me for a story. Do not let me sleep through it." The marriage was brief and hollow. That night, Shahryar received her in a warm room smelling of sandalwood, his face closed and mechanical. She calmly requested her sister's presence, which the king granted. In the quiet, dead hours before dawn, Dunyazad spoke up from the darkness. "Dear sister, if you are not too tired, and if our master the king will permit it, Will you tell us one of your wonderful stories to pass the last hours of the night?" Shahryar offered no objection. Scheherazade took a slow breath and began.
And this is the genius of it all. The setup, the timing, the sister's role as the catalyst. It's a meticulously crafted plan, relying on the oldest human instinct, the need for a story, the desperate urge to know what happens next.
For 1001 nights, she maintained this brilliant suspension. She spun a tapestry of fishermen casting nets, jennies sealed in bottles, enchanted princes, and clever women outwitting tyrants. She wove stories inside stories, breaking the threads at dawn so that the king was forced to grant her another day of life, night after night. During those 3 long years, Scheherazade bore the king 3 sons. She told stories through the swelling of her belly and the deep exhaustion of childbirth, never dropping the thread. The narratives took root in Shahryar like roots in stone, slowly fracturing his cynicism.
3 years, 3 sons, and 1001 stories? This isn't just about survival, it's about transformation. She's not just entertaining him, she's slowly, subtly rewiring his entire world. Each story is a tiny seed of empathy she plants in his heart, forcing him to see the world beyond his own pain. The fact that she bore children during this time is another layer of her sacrifice and commitment.
On the final night, she finished her last tale. The room fell completely quiet. She rose, gathered her 3 children, the eldest walking, the second crawling, the infant cradled on her shoulder, and knelt honestly before the monarch. "My king, for 1001 nights I have entertained you with stories. In that time I have borne you 3 beautiful sons. I have run out of stories to tell, but in the name of our sons I ask you to spare my life." Shahryar came forward, embraced her tightly, and whispered directly into her ear, "I pardoned you long ago." The stories had achieved a patient reckoning, forcing him to step outside his own psychological wound to see the universal shape of human grief and empathy. The cruelty he had mistaken for justice was revealed as mere bitterness wearing the wrong clothes. He declared her his permanent queen, ensuring she would never dread her life again.
I pardoned you long ago. What a powerful, quiet resolution. It wasn't an abrupt change, but a gradual, subtle healing brought about by immersion in other people's experiences, other ways of seeing the world. Scheherazade used stories as a form of therapy, not just for herself, but for the king, and by extension, for the entire kingdom.
And the healing didn't stop there. Shahryar immediately sent a letter to his brother Shah Zaman. "There is more to tell than a letter can hold. Come and I will tell you everything." Shah Zaman arrived swiftly, still carrying his internal closure. Standing in the road, he asked his brother how he could possibly look at a woman again after what they had witnessed on the beach. Shahryar brought him inside and detailed everything: his own dark crimes, the courage of the vizier's daughter, and the transformative power of the 1001 nights.
So now the healing extends to Shah Zaman, who was the original broken man. He too needs to be talked back into being a person. It shows how deeply Shahryar's own wound resonated and how far-reaching Scheherazade's solution truly was.
Shah Zaman met Scheherazade the next morning. As a ruler accustomed to reading the depths of human character, he understood her brilliance within an hour. That evening, noting that Dunyazad was the vital catalyst who had requested each story, he sought his brother's blessing to ask for her hand. Scheherazade wept with mixed joy and sorrow, declaring that Dunyazad was her other half and she could never be parted from her. A profound realization passed between the 2 kings. They realized how deeply they had missed each other, and how unnecessary their long separation had been.
This is truly a beautiful resolution, isn't it? Not just the marriage, but the kings realizing their bond, and how much they lost to their individual pains. It ties back to the beginning, when their father gave them separate kingdoms. Now, through Scheherazade's wisdom, they're truly reunited.
A beautiful, unconventional solution was forged to unify the family. Shah Zaman permanently relocated to Shahryar's kingdom to marry Dunyazad. The 2 brothers agreed to rule the empire in turn, alternating day by day, so neither throne sat vacant. And the loyal vizier, the father who had endured years of sorrow and terrifying adaptations, was finally granted the beautiful, prosperous trade city of Samarkand, a kingdom of his own to govern in name, just as he had done in practice for a lifetime. The wedding of Shah Zaman and Dunyazad was celebrated with overwhelming relief. Both kingdoms thrived under this stable, empathetic rule, and the dark cloud that had choked the city for years lifted entirely, leaving behind a quiet pride in survival.
Every single character finds their rightful place, and the kingdom is not just saved, but strengthened. It's a truly holistic healing, radiating out from Scheherazade's initial act of courage, and the legacy of the stories themselves.
In the second year of their reign, Shahryar summoned his chief scribe and commanded that every story told across those 1001 nights be written down. Scheherazade sat with the scribes for months, reconstructing the complex hierarchy and correcting the wording whenever the text lost the rhythm that carried its meaning. The completed compilation was bound and preserved securely within the royal treasury under the title, The Arabian Nights and a Night. Shahryar explicitly commanded that the preface attribute the work entirely to Scheherazade, ensuring her name was permanently recorded alongside the transformation of the king. Generations later, a wise ruler discovered these volumes within the old treasury. Captivated by their depth, he sat spellbound for days, rearranged by their brilliance. He ordered mass copies distributed across every library, trade route, and foreign household, calling them the marvels and wonders of the Arabian Nights. The stories traveled without passports or introductions, making themselves at home at tables where they were never invited, exactly as a good story always does.
And that's why we still have them today. What a legacy. It really underscores that the historic frame of Scheherazade is far more than a clever tale of survival or a woman outsmarting a tyrant. It serves as a profound psychological argument that empathy is the only true cure for systemic violence.
Yes, absolutely. Shahryar was a man trapped in the burning prison of his own betrayal, attempting to cauterize his heart by killing rather than feeling. Scheherazade did not fight his sword with a weapon. She shattered his cynical worldview by holding up a literary mirror to it. Night after night, her narratives forced him to experience the joys, sorrows, and complex perspectives of lives outside his own palace walls. She systematically demonstrated that wisdom and compassion are not weaknesses to be discarded, but the essential tools we must use to break cycles of bitterness and become human again.
It's a story that reminds us of the incredible power of narrative, to transport, to enlighten, to heal. It shows that words, when wielded with intent and compassion, can be more powerful than any sword and can truly change the course of history, one story at a time.
Powerful thought to end on, don't you think? The tale of Scheherazade is a testament to the enduring human spirit and the transformative magic of stories.
It truly is. Well, that's all for this episode of Forgotten Tales. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the legend of Scheherazade.
If you loved hearing this story and want to explore more Forgotten Tales with us, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Your support means the world to us.
And leave us a comment below. What's your favorite story from 1001 Nights? Or what other Forgotten Tales would you love for us to cover? We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep those stories alive.